It's another watercolor brush pen sketchbook vlog. So here is what I will be painting today. I am so happy you clicked on my video and I really hope you enjoy my process. Today I will be using the Arteza Real brush pens in my Royal Talons art creation sketchbook. And as always, I'm starting off by having a wee swatch and play about on a mixed media card, just to build up my confidence so I can go in with a wee bit of a plan. And here we go! And please know, I still consider myself to be a newbie to watercolor brush pens, so this vlog is my experiments using this medium, and keep in mind I do make mistakes. So I've already laid in my initial sketch using the Prismacolor Colorace pencils. This one was the brown one because it matches the earthy tone vibe that I want to create with this painting. So I do make my first mistake right out the bat here. I put on too much water and I definitely overwork this wee bird because of it. But that's exactly why I actually start with the birds, because I like to get warmed up before taking on the bigger parts of this painting. And by painting these birds first, I get a wee bit of my nerves and over-eagerness out of my system. I sort of get a better feel for how much water I need and just the effects that I'm going to create. So apologies for that first bird. you were my wee experiment. But I promise you'll look pretty at the end when I put on some coloured pencils. So definitely going into this next bird, I felt so much more confident and found a really good flow with how much water I needed, and I really loved the effect that I created with the yellows and the purples, which is actually why I chose these reference photos and why I chose to use watercolours for it. I really liked the colours and I wanted that blended, gentle, soft effect. And yeah, I just wanted to keep my momentum going with the watercolours and get started on the portrait of the bird lady and go back in with my ink pens and coloured pencils once I'd laid in my watercolour paint first. Also, I had no idea what to actually call her, so I just went with bird lady. Bird lady it is. So my goal for this spread was an earthy nature feel, which I thought watercolours over markers would be perfect because I really wanted that softer colours that blended and mixed gently to really help create that nature, that really soft nature feel that I wanted in this painting. And I also really love getting lost in the brush strokes and how good it feels to use these brush pens to create. And I've been on quite a marker kick recently, so I thought I'd mix it up with a bit of watercolor brush pens again. And I'll have my first video linked below, which was my first attempt at using these watercolor brush pens, which was my first ever video that I uploaded on this channel, so I will link them both below. It's a two-part. So I think this is technically like my fourth or fifth attempt using these. I say attempt, like I use them. I am using them and I'm managing to create finished paintings with them, which I do really like. So I'd say actually using them rather than attempting. I think what really keeps me fixated on finishing paintings in my sketchbook is to make them like this, a full spread, fun, and it's across both pages. It's a story. It keeps me engaged and honestly desperate to finish so I can tie it all in together and see how it all looks together. So like I found on Pinterest that photo of the lady with the bird and I thought, oh, that would be really cute if birds were flying around her. So I looked for a different reference photo of the birds, and then I was like, oh, I really want sort of some grass, some plants, some nature, and I thought a bird feeder. So I looked up a photo and found this one of the bird feeder and thought, I'll put it all across on a sketchbook spread and really have fun trying to put it all together. And that's a wee ADHD art tip there for you. Because being an artist with ADHD is quite difficult, and it's honestly the reason I spent years not really making it very far with my art. I could never push through and stay engaged and motivated to finish any artworks and put in the time to get better. So finding little hacks and workarounds to help keep me going is honestly part of my process now. And also using watercolor brush pens would also fall into this category because it is easier to sit and pick out my colours, have a pen with water in it, and boom, I'm ready to paint. It is also not time consuming and messy to tidy it all away at the end, which is why I sat and painted this spread. If I'd had to look at my watercolours, mix the colours I wanted, spend ages trying to get the water consistency right, wait ages for then it to dry on the page, then I just wouldn't have even started, let alone completed it, which I think was the phase I was stuck in for years. So finding brush pens has really helped me keep going and growing with my art. Not that I'm meaning for this brush pen sketchbook vlog to turn super sappy, but it is what it is, and I am where I am now because I found a different medium that really helped me stay engaged. So I add in my purples into my dark shadows here, mainly because I wanted it all to connect and flow to the other elements in my spread, and since the purple was such a vivid part of the birds, I was like, I need to put splashes of it throughout the bird lady, and I think it mixes in really well with the browns of her top and her hat and creates such a nice effect, because nature, it's all connected, you know. Now onto the bird feeder. And I just really loved the composition of this reference and how the leaves sprouted out the side and how they swept across and down. I just really loved the flow of it and how there was touches of purple in the flowers and that connected with the birds and the bird lady. So it just got me really excited to add to the spread, and again, that helps me keep coming back to my sketchbook and finishing off my painting. And I also decided to add my own bird sitting happily next to the bird feeder, just chilling, waiting for friends or waiting for more food. So there's a lot to this reference, so breaking down the leaves, I decided to just try a few first with a light green wash and then slowly add in my darker greens, and I don't look at every single light and colour variation on each leaf, but rather I make sure I have a mix of shades of green and consciously put the darks where I think sort of the leaves are clearly in shadows. There's no way to paint every single branch, but the fun is in intuitively drawing in the flowy lines where I would like them. So these parts were a wee bit rushed and didn't turn out exactly how I wanted them to, but they're here and like they're not too bad, but I wanted to flow and put leaves and flowers connecting the whole page, and I just kind of threw that in the bottom. So I do tend to get like that when I've been sketching for a bit on the same piece. I do get a bit bored and do rush it at the end and like throw it all together. But they are what they are, and you know, we like it. I also really love adding in coloured pencils. I think the coloured pencil here really adds to the texture and depth, and I absolutely loved adding it. Like, it really brightened areas and adding so much extra to the painting, and I think it's what really sort of changes it from like, oh, this is going okay, this looks alright, to oh wow, like I actually love how this is turning out. And I do genuinely just feel so free when I grab a pencil and just go for it and like scribble over my painting. It feels so freeing and fun. I really think there is so much fun in doing a mixed media piece, throwing on all your supplies, just picking up like a pencil or a pen and seeing how it will all look and how well it all will fit in together and how much you're like, okay. Because I think when I first started art, I was like, oh, it needs to be watercolor. I need to get the finished effect with watercolor or with markers or with gouache paints. But like, you do add all the mixed media, and I think the colored pencils are an absolute essential part of the overall finished painting. And that's another thing that maybe took me too embarrassingly long to realize as a newbie artist, was that you can use other media with your initial media to help create that finished look that you're going for, and it's not cheating. I really do love the inking stage and just adding in more depths and details, and I think that's definitely an area of my art that I plan to work on a lot more. Maybe just do some singular like ink pieces, work on my pen skills, my cross hatching, just spend a bit more time working on that. But for now, I just love adding it in to my marker and watercolor paintings. As is the white Posca pen for highlights. It really allows me to add in a few of the color variations that I didn't achieve with the painting, which I could have spent more time creating at the time. But this is just a fun sketchbook exercise, and I don't want to spend like several hours on each leaf, on each area. But here it is. I am genuinely super proud of this one. It really achieved the vibe that I set out to achieve with it, and I hope you enjoyed watching, and please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you next time.